All right, I'm back in the van and I'm gonna start doing some work on it. Um, Had a little bit of a a little bit of a delay getting much work done because I needed to use the van to tow the trailer to go camping. So I'm happy to report that the van towed the trailer just fine. We were able to drive up a 2 hour way to a campground and unhook the trailer and use the van to get around and safely bring it home. And so the van did just fine. Um, so happy about that. And so now my plan is to remove everything the previous owner put in. So let's have a look at that. Anyway, as you recall, the van was previously owned. This is a 2020, and it had some cabinets in it, which I took out because they were really squeaking, and I didn't want to go on this 2 hour drive with the family with everything squeaking. So luckily, pulling out this wall panel here, that was a rattle, and the cabinet, upper cabinet here, or the floor to ceiling cabinet was a real squeaker. And then I pulled out all the drawers and I ended up recycling it for a toolbox for my garage. So today I'm going to pull out this cabinet here that houses a small water tank and a water pump and an accumulator, looks like. I'm going to pull out the rest of these panels and the ceiling panels, and hopefully I can get to the floor. I want to get it back to bare bones so I know where I'm starting from. And once I get it all that out, I'm going to go and get the van weighed. You probably recall I had a 3 seat in the back, and I was able to get the 2 seater in here, the factory 2 seats, and that worked out perfectly for our trip. And I'm going to try and design my build around that. But I want to start with the blank slate. So I'm not sure how I'm going to film all this. Maybe do a little bit of a time lapse or something. But anyway, that's the plan. And then I'll have to figure out the layout after that, I guess. And it looks like there's some insulation already, and I could see there in the wall, of course, you could see and I see some poking out of the ceiling. Looks like it's probably 3M Thinsulate is what it looks like. I haven't really seen it in person, but in videos, that's what I see. I can't tell if there's any rattle trap. This is probably the factory, but I mean, that's enough. So I'll probably peel these back to see if there's enough of that in there. And then if so, I'll just leave this. Maybe I'll buy a little bit and add a second layer. We'll see. Um, just one day at a time. All right, let's get going. All right, so that got all the screws out really quick. It's kind of hard. I have to look at this part of the phone. But it looks like they're also glued down. Ooh, that I didn't count on. Okay, see, yeah, I mean, I can even see the glue here, but like all these screws are out, and this thing ain't budging. I'm gonna get a pry bar or something. That's a bummer. This is original cover for the factory cabling that goes down the length and then open over. So I'll have to take that out and then relocate it up. This looks like a lot of people just relocate it up here and kind of wall around it somehow. But I did not count on these wall panels being glued down. Um, so the previous owner did put these little puck lights in. That's part of the wiring that I found down there. But these are the original LED lights. They light up really good. Those are factory. And it turns out I have this weird little switch back here I found that will turn them on and off. Or turn them off anyway. Let's see. Yeah, whatever. If I open the back door, there you go. Then they have a time. They time out after several minutes. But what this button will do is turn them off, I think. Yeah. So if you open the back door and they come on, you don't want them on. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to reincorporate those into the build somehow or not. It could be nice or it could be annoying. I'm not sure. Anyway, let me see if I can pry these walls off. Well, I think you get the idea. That was way more than I thought it was going to take. Of course, it's still not finished, but I'm not going to time lapse the whole thing, but more than I thought it was going to be. That's obviously very good glue. So I will go ahead and try and get the rest of it off, and I'll join you back in when it's appropriate. Okay, we're getting there. It's turned to a major headache. Every panel was glued in multiple spots, but I guess that's what makes these remaining ones not rattle. But sure hard to pull off. Anyway, I'll show you where I'm at. I think got one last board to do. So far, there's the damage. That's all. I was going to get rid of it all anyways. But I'll have to work on see how much of this I can get off still. That's where all the board fell apart. We got all the ceiling out. And so these are where he had his LEDs tied in. So I'll probably end up redoing all that. Not sure I like the way it was run. I pulled the cable tray off. And I guess I got the ceiling. I guess it looks like it's got thin insulate and it's got some sound deadening stuff in there. So I'm sure I'm just going to end up reusing all that. Did a good job with that. Then tuck it in all the crannies. So I'll probably get some more. Probably end up doing a double. But anyway, this is the last board. I ripped it down the middle with a saw, but I might be able to just pry this one up now that I got that cable tray off, if you remember. That was the tray. So put you back on the tripod. Okay, there you have it. I literally thought this was just going to take me a couple hours, not several hours. I had no idea it was all glued on there. So they glued these little 2x2s in to screw to. So I'll probably end up pulling those out. this is where the paneling just broke apart. This is really strong adhesive. Um, so I'll just pull off as much as I can, and it's all going to be covered anyways. But I'll pull off what I can. And the roof. So these are the original lights. Not sure what I'm gonna do with those. These are where he had his little puck lights put on down there. So use nice Waco uh, levers. So that's nice. That's what I was going to use for the whole build. So that's good. Not sure I like the way the wire was run, like no loom or nothing. It's just, no, it's sharp on the back. So yeah, I would put that in some wire loom. That's all going down to there. So anyway, it's getting there. I really just needed to pull everything out. Let me flip this around. I really just needed to pull everything out so I could see again what was done before. Start with clean slate. I mean, I'll leave the insulation in, of course. It's fine. I'll take out these wires, which I don't really like that without the loom. I'll clean up as much as this, the little pieces of paneling that are left. All this stuff. This is the factory. This gets, from what I see of people in videos, they reroute this up higher, but they don't, don't modify it or nothing. Just so you can kind of hide it behind the wall panels. It's a solid, so there shouldn't be any need to service it. I'll try to make ways to get to everything for servicing though. Anyways, but yeah, a lot harder than I thought with all the glue. I'll be using glue on the subfloor. I'm going to put aluminum channel in the on the subfloor and glue that down, and then I'll screw the subfloor to that. I don't want to screw all the way through, but it looks like they did. So that's going to be my next thing after I get this cabinet and water tank out. I'll pull the subfloor out because I'm going to insulate underneath it, and hopefully I could reuse it. That'd be all right. Anyway, yeah. I guess like anything else in restoring a trailer or rebuilding or building an RV, everything is going to take much longer than you plan. So anyway, I'll check back in later. All right, today's the next day, back in the van. See where I left off after all that sawing and prying. Not pretty, but got to get everything out, know where they're starting from, and get going on the build. So let's have a look. So next up today is to get rid of this box. This was originally in here when I bought it. It's a water tank. Not sure what it was used for. I know he did bike repairs. Maybe he used this to wash them. But he had a water pump in this tank and an accumulator. So if that stuff's good, maybe I can reuse it after sanitizing it. Not sure. But basically I want to get it out. So the plan today is to get this water tank out and the cabinet, and hopefully I can get the subfloor they put in out. It looks like they did screw it into the floor of the van, which would not be my choice. So I don't know. I'm going to see how hard it is to get that out, because once I get everything out, I want to get basically to a stock van and then go weigh it. I want to weigh the van before and after I do all the work to it. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get started on getting this tank out. Well, that took entirely much too long. I think it's a good indication that any job in this project is going to be 10 times longer than you expect. But it's out. All right. So there was a water pump, sure flow, 4008, and is that an accumulator? Not sure if I could or should reuse those, but maybe I'll just chlorine them up. We'll see. It looks like they got insulation all the way toward the bottom. I'll probably buy some more and I'll probably double insulate it. So that's out. And then the tank, I don't know if I could reuse the tank. Maybe use it for a gray tank? Not sure where I could fit it. But a decent tank. What does it say? 15.8 gallons, looks like. You can read that. Had some water in it. We'll see. All right, getting there. Boy, as long as that cabinet took to get out, I don't know about this. It's all sticky too. Yuck. Okay, well, pulled all the screws out of the subfloor that I could find, and then guess what? This subfloor did not budge. So I should have did this before I started. I was able to look under the edge, and guess what I found? All right, so here's the subfloor. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but if you look here, there's a little white. Let's see if I can zoom in. See that white dollop? That's glue. So it looks like he raised it somewhat across the floor ribs and glued it down, which is fine. I was going to do that, but I was going to put in some insulation first. I do see he has aluminum tape sticking out the edges here. So maybe there's some insulation under there. I don't know. But basically, it's not going to budge. And so I will work with it, see how it goes. So now just got all the stuff out, and I'm going to go down before they close and get it weighed. This will be the starting point, and then we'll see how much it weighs when I'm done.